least nobody else raised their hand in the other class. Well, that's good. So it's nice that you get to have a voice and you get to have an opinion in that. And I thought it would be neat to kind of tie the election in to what we're fixing to discuss with Macbeth, because it has to do with the leadership, because basically y'all are going to go elect a leader tomorrow of our country, and hopefully you'll make the right decision, but at least you have a vote and you have a voice in that. But tying that in, the election and everything, think about your leaders and people that you vote for, and think about some of the qualities that they share. Do any of y'all know people that have been president or other types of leaders, like dictators in other countries, that have been bad examples of power?
Fidel Castro?
Yeah, Hitler's a good one. Okay. Who did you say?
Wasn't Fidel Castro of Cuba?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody used him in our last class too. Well, going back to the president of the United States, since that's what your bell ringer was about, let's go back to that. And we'll talk about this later. But what did you put down for some examples that you would like, some laws that you would like to change if you were president yourselves? Come on, I know y'all had some. Y'all didn't have any laws you want to change?
I said that I would not necessarily change laws, but I would enforce them more, because some laws aren't enforced.
So you think we have a lot of laws that they're laws, but they're not really enforced enough? And
Yeah.
like what?
I don't know.
What about the speeding limit? That was one of the other class. The other class mentioned the speeding limit. Some of their things were about that, and that was the main one.
I feel like it should be higher.
Maybe
Yeah,
we should look-
because I feel like it's just too slow for me. Yeah. Like 45 is like really slow.
Have any of y'all gotten a speeding ticket yet?
Yep.
I haven't, not yet.
Not yet.
So some of the laws they give, why do you think they make laws? Is it because
They want to restrict us.
Safety.
I don't think
Safety.
it's protection. I think it's restriction.
what'd you say?
For the safety of the
Yeah, I thought he said that. 'Cause
Yes.
I hear some people say restriction, and I hear him say safety. So there should be a balance. And balance is a good way to talk about power, because when you're talking about our leaders, there should be a balance of power with our leaders. And sometimes, though, when you vote for a president, he has a lot of power that's, that can get, even though he's limited by Congress and other people. Sometimes, do you think it could go to a president or any other kind of leader with power? Do you think it could go to their head?
Well, they are the most powerful man in the world.
So what do you think as far as number two, when the question about if you would like to be president, would you like to be a leader like that?
I think it's stressful.
Too much power.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with her, because I'm like, if you're a president and you're in charge, everybody's looking to you. And there's a lot of responsibility in being a president, because if things go wrong, who are they going to blame?
I feel like you can't do everything. You can't like do anything right if you're the president. You know, it's just like if you do something right, then something else bad is gonna happen. And like, oh, you did that too. Like that's your fault. They like look past the good stuff sometimes. They just like the bad stuff.
I agree with you, because what president, can you think of any president they've said he's the best president, he's done made all these good decisions? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but none of them really stick out in my mind.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, yeah, he did a lot of good things with the economy, didn't he? In Reaganomics. My dad thinks he's one of the best presidents there was, but we can often debate about that in different ways, because people feel differently. But the thing I want y'all to think about is with leadership, and with our election tomorrow, that ties in to our unit we're going to be starting on Macbeth, because Macbeth was basically a good king when he started out, and he had a lot of good qualities. He was a warrior, and people looked up to him because he did so many good things. But then things began to change for him, and one of the things that ties in with his abuse of power, or what's going to happen with him, his character, is that he had a little bit of ambition. And what do you think ambition is? Can you tell me?
Drive, kind of.
Wanting to do something.
Do you think that it's bad to have ambition?
Too much ambition could be, but
You can't have too much ambition. I don't think so.
You don't
Well,
think
it
you can?
depends on what you're
You can have
going
ambition for
for.
a bad thing.
Well, yeah.
So it's kind of a hard, tricky thing. There's kind of a fine line. And so be thinking about that as we go into Macbeth, because be thinking about how much responsibility was on his shoulders. How much was he at fault for, responsible for, and how much did the other things, like in his life, the factors that played into it, like the people he hung around, how much did the pressure of those people flow into his character and influence him? And just like he was influenced in one way or the other, presidents are influenced by people. Look at the presidents now. Do you think they're influenced by certain kind of voters? Doesn't it seem like they all try to get their own little agendas? Like these try to appeal to a certain group, and you know what I'm saying? Like I know one of the debates they talked about women's issues, and they try to. It's almost like they try to appeal to those type of people. So just be thinking about that as we get into Macbeth, and think about leadership, and think about just as he had issues with ambition and power, you can think of some people today that still have those type of issues. And one thing I'm going to show y'all tomorrow is a YouTube video. Who in here has heard of Richard Scrushy? So y'all are familiar with him. And you know that he was a big guy in the media. What did he do?
Wasn't it fraud?
Do you know what his company that he was famous?
Wasn't it like yeah.
Right. So he wasn't. How much money did he have? Do you think?
A lot.
And do you think, from what you know about him, do you think that he abused power?
Yes.
And he still said, and the things you're going to hear, I'm going to show you a video tomorrow, he still said to the very end that he was innocent because he tried to say that he didn't know any of the things that were going on around him, that it was other people in his company that made those decisions and he knew nothing about it. So, but he was the one in charge, so people were looking to him. He was the one in charge of the company. So think about being in charge and the responsibility of that, and think about Macbeth as a king and his responsibility. And think about whether you would want to be in that position or not. And try to kind of think about that. Okay, so if there's anything else. I think we talked about most of it. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to share with about your bell ringers, or any of the questions that I didn't cover that you'd like to comment on? Okay, so like I said with the us talking about leading into Macbeth and power, I want y'all to be able to relate this to your lives today and see how, just like it happened in our story we're going to be reading, it can happen to you. And so I'm going to be passing out some material. And what I want you to do is find a partner. I want you to get out, listen to my instructions. I want you to get out one piece of paper. And then I want you to pair up with somebody. And I have some questions on this abstract over here. But you're going to basically find examples of power, either a picture or an article, just one. And you and your teammate are going to share these with the class. And you're going to answer these questions on this abstract over here. But I want you to be able to see examples of power, and then we're going to share if this power was being abused or not. And so I want you to understand that this still happens today, and it still matters in your life. And think about yourself and how this could even happen to you if you were in this position. Who knows? One of you might work for, who wants to work for a, make a lot of money one day and work for a company that, like Google or Microsoft, my son does. It's not really bad in and of itself to want to make money. Is there any of you, are there any of y'all that want to do that?
Make money.
Make money,
Yeah, like to be like, cause some,
Yeah, I'll raise my hand to that.
see?
What about
So just think about,
Yeah,
who
I'm
knows, you could be the CEO of a company one day,
Yeah.
and you could be in charge, and think about that, the pressure of that, and what that could do to you if you made the wrong decision or let the wrong people influence you. Because you could have people coming up to you saying, I want you to change the books on, who knows, you could be an accountant, I want you to change those books to say this. Who knows? You don't know what you're going to do. So it could happen to any of you.
It's who you
So,
surround
okay.
yourself with.
What?
It's who you surround yourself with.
Right, but you don't know the type of people now that you're going to work with. You hope you work with good people, but you never know. So hopefully your good character would stand up and you would remain good at character. Some others have fallen. So think about that. So what I want you to do is I'm going to pair up with somebody, and I'm going to pass around the materials, and I want you to get scissors and cut out the article or the picture, and then you're going to paste it on your paper and then answer these questions right here. And you will share those with the class. We don't have time to get everybody today. You'll do it tomorrow. And I'll pass these around.
I never saw your brother.
We got
was 10:49.